Welcome to Fraggle Talk, the unofficial Fraggle Rock Podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we cover Fraggle Rock back to the rock, episode by episode, along with the talented producers, performers, writers, and builders who helped put it together. I'm your host, silly creature Joe Hennis. Today we're talking about episode 11, Deep Dive, in which the Fraggle Pond is full of pink goo, the Merggles have the hiccups, and everyone just needs to chill out. Our guest today is a puppeteer who's worked with the Henson Company on dozens of projects, including Puppet Up, Sid the Science Kid, Earth to Ned, and as Aughra on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. Outside of Henson, you've seen her work on Community, Angel, HR Puff and stuff, and yeah, she was even one of Doc Ock's arms in Spider-Man 2. That's pretty cool. On Back to the Rock, she stars as Cotterpin Doozer, the storyteller, and the one and only Mokey. We are extremely pleased to welcome Donna Kimball to the podcast. Hi, Donna.
Hello. How are you, Joe?
I'm great. It's great to have you here.
Oh, it's lovely being here.
I'm so glad. Well, we obviously have a lot to talk about because Mokey is a pretty big part of the show. So, number one question, how did you get started with Mokey? I know that this is not your first foray into Mokey performance. So, how did you get started with her?
Yeah, that's right. Years ago, Lisa asked me to cover Mokey in the Bed Folds 5 video. I don't even remember what year that was, 2013 to 15. But that was when I first met Karen. And because she, came to perform, and it was wonderful, and Karen was so great and helpful and giving me notes when I would be too, remember Mokey's movements are more smooth and lyrical, and okay, great. So she was just so helpful in, that first inhabiting of Mokey that I did, because, I was pretty nervous taking on an iconic, beloved character. So that was fun. That was a fun couple of days, and it was wonderful meeting her. And I'm just going to start by singing Karen Prell's praises. It's rare to work with a performer who is so connected to that character that she plays. I mean, she's been read most of her life, really. She was so young, and telling those stories that she told us about the original series, it was just, we sat at her feet with giant eyeballs, metaphorically, just to hear all of her wonderful stories. And she's, such a generous performer, and just so pro and so prepared, and I just can't say enough good things. So, meeting her right away on that first Mokey thing was wonderful. And then we did the Puppets for Puppetry benefit at Henson for the Center for Puppetry Arts, and I got to do Mokey a little bit and actually speak as her. So I had to, study a little bit. I think I had like one or two lines, and then we sang "Follow Me," which was great, scary, wonderful. And then Rock On came along, and I was asked to do that, and wow, okay, yes, please. And then it was picked up for the series, so off we went. So yeah,
so
like I said,
you never had to take. It's like do an audition for Mokey. You were just asked and like thrown into the fold.
That is correct. I feel super lucky to have had that. I mean, that's a lot of trust that they place in you to do that. And, you feel that the gratitude and the weight and the responsibility of it together at the same time. So, it was wonderful. I'm eternally grateful.
Well, lucky for you for sure, but definitely lucky for the Henson Company, because not only, I think obviously they chose you because you are a talented performer. Everyone knows that because we could just look at your work. But the fact that you can also take a character like Mokey, who, as Karen probably mentioned to you, is a very specific character to get right.
Mm-hmm.
The way she speaks, the way she moves, she's very zen until she's not. She's very smooth and can be a very large presence. And the fact that you were able to kind of get into that so easily, although I don't know how easy it was, but how you could get into it so easily, and mimic Kathy Mullen's voice so well. It was very lucky that you just have all those qualities already.
Well, thanks. I did do a whole lot of homework, of course. I had done Agra in the middle of these things, of course. So I think that was I ended up using the same system of trying to voice match because I'm fairly new to voice matching. But for Agra and for Mokey too, I recorded all of Agra onto an MP3 with just a very basic system, a microphone, 2 laptops, and a speaker, just a little, MP3 that I would keep on my phone and listen to. And I did the same thing for Mokey, but the trick was that Mokey's voice evolved quite a bit between season 1 and season 5.
Sure.
So in the course of my MP3 that I made, I thought, wow, these are very different voices. So I had to make a choice as a performer. So I chose season 1 Mokey's voice, which is airier, a little more of a lilt up and down, a little more of a head voice. I kind of liked that for the character, for the look of her. And also I felt it separated me vocally from what Karen was doing as Red.
Sure,
so it was very deliberate to choose the season 1 that I always have my little sentence from the OG material. And this was like, Doozer constructions, dear diary, what's the deal with, I'm paraphrasing, Doozer constructions, but I knew my cause was just. From I think that's from one of the first few episodes. I was like, oh, I love this little Mokey. So that's the one that's the Mokey's voice that I chose.
I love it. So obviously Kathy Mullen performed this character originally. You must have gotten a lot of influence and inspiration from her and from her performances.
I have to say, I think she is one of the most brilliant puppeteers that I've ever seen. I think her work is exquisite and detailed. I think she's just got it all, man. Her the voices that she does, her acting ability, how great she is technically as a puppeteer. She can sing. I mean, she's such a giant in my eyes, such a shiro that I met her in person one time at the red carpet or purple carpet premiere of Dark Crystal. And we had a lovely chat, and we had a photo taken together that her grandson took. And I had asked her, had she met Louis Leterrier yet? And she said no. And I knew what a huge fan he was. So I literally took her by the hand, walked her all the way across the party through all these people, and said, Louis, this is Kira. This is Kathy Mullen. And I just stepped back and, ooh, and watched these two titans meet. But just, I mean, her work is exquisite. I hope that she's happy with how, with what I did with Mokey, but she's just an amazing, amazing performer.
She is. She's a wonderful human being, and I'm sure she's happy because you really are doing justice beyond justice to these characters.
Thank you.
But your Mokey is a little bit different from Kathy's, and I can't exactly put my finger on why. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit, but maybe she's a little bit more high energy, or it's that she's more open to new things, like because Kathy's Mokey was almost like blind to everyone else, like she was in her own world, and your Mokey doesn't have that as much. Would you agree with that, or is there something else that you kind of put your own spin onto with the character?
I think a lot of it was informed by the writing, of course, but I think that it's a bit of both. She's kind of like certain that everything, certain that her way is correct. She sees, I think it's both. I think that she does have a bit of a blind spot here and there, particularly in this episode. And I think I just really love the aspect of my version of Mokey, and that I think she's her it's a bit grander. She's a bit grander and sees more than she actually does. She thinks she sees more than she actually does. And I find that hilarious about her.
Yes.
And very, it's a flaw that she has, and therefore super human and relatable and funny. So I always dig for the flaws in the characters because they make them super interesting. And it's a comedic goldmine.
Yes, especially on this show.
Yeah.
So there has another big change in Mokey since her previous appearance, which is actually her appearance. She is a bit of a redesign. Were you at all involved with deciding how the new Mokey would look or move, anything like that?
The producers make the decisions about how a character, the appearance of a character changes. I can tell you that the producers are the biggest fans of the show that you will ever meet. And I believe that when a change like that is made, it's made with the greatest amount of care and love. So I had full trust in them. So I was not consulted. It's just decisions like that are made way above a puppeteer's pay grade, at least a puppeteer who's not a producer. And that would be me.
Sure.
That being said, I love the new look of her. I think she fits into this world. And, sometimes a person needs a little makeover. In my case, a mokeover.
That was awful.
You know what I'm saying,
I loved
Joe?
It. It only stands out because everyone else looks exactly the same, with the exception of maybe Junior Gorg. Everyone looks exactly the same, and some of our characters are even the same exact puppets. So to have only one Fraggle to go through a makeover or a mokeover, I don't know, just that it stands out. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just an interesting thing to notice.
I agree with you, and I know that change can be hard for fans, but I think ultimately with seeing the show, I think most people, it seems to me, have accepted it and seen that, I'm just looking at this shot right here on your on the Tough Pigs website, and to me she looks like she's part of this world now and this iteration of the show.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with that. Yeah, she's got this, someone described her as having this art teacher look, which I think fits her very well. And without aging her up too much, because I understand that was one of the reasons why they wanted to update her design, was so she didn't feel like the adult of the group quite as much as before.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that, because to play the mom character when you're not the mom is not fun. I feel as an actor, it's the least fun aspect of a character to play. And I am a mom, so I'm not doing down the moms, but I think it's just not fun to for the audience, or it's not fun certainly for me as a performer. So I love that she is, she's caring and nurturing, but she's not, doesn't feel like she's in charge or
right.
Or
she doesn't have to be the stick in the mud of the group.
Exactly.
Because she's the the parental figure. Yeah. Right.
And she's game for all the adventures, as much as anyone else. And, her body is the same. So her arms are super long when they don't have a cardigan on them. And of course her arms are revealed. So the option of live hands went away. So I had the fantastic Kira Hall, who was my designated assist, and Kira was with me pretty much in every shot doing Mokey's other arm, because it was a lot to handle, because her arms are twice as long. I asked Jordan Blockhart, hold out Wembley's arms for me. And I compared Mokey's. Yeah, you got that. Your puppet's like half the weight, half the size. So Kathy had always said she's big and she's heavy, and she is, yeah.
She needs those hugging arms, She needs to be able to get everyone in the hug at the same time.
That's right. I can hug all four of my friends all
That's
together.
right.
And then some. Throw in a couple ink spots too.
But that's interesting that you say that about the live hands. It's something I've been wondering since the beginning of the series, that she's no longer a live hand character, or like you say, doesn't have the option of becoming a live hand character. And I don't know, there was something special about there being only one Fraggle who could manipulate or could, the old Mokey was very big on grabbing other characters and holding them close in an embrace, which I think is probably harder for you with the rod hands. I don't really have a question in that. It's just an interesting observation.
Yeah, right. And I tried to be as touchy as Kathy was as the original Mokey, and I've heard her say that she is touchy by nature, and I think I am too. So yes, we did a lot of, whenever I was next to a character that was in trouble, I would always try to at least put a hand on them, rub their back, grab them, hug them. Yeah. I think, but it's it's fun. So, but puppeteering wise, it's no more difficult technically to hug with rods or with live.
Well, that's good to know.
Not really. Yeah.
One thing I've been wondering about her outfits, she's got that great necklace that has all the little doodads hanging off of it. Were any of those anything that you had either a connection to or something that maybe you've created some kind of headcanon as to like why she has this thing dangling around her neck? Or is it just like random shiny things that she likes?
I wish I was in on the email chain that the EPs had in designing and to choosing each of those pendants. I just would just study them in between takes. Oh, a paperclip. Oh, little bamboo thingies. Oh, wonder why they chose that one. It's more like why did they choose these?
Right.
But I
not why did Mokey
choose
picking
it?
Up
Exactly. Little things that find their way down into the cave. Oh,
yeah.
Little bell. A bell without the bell thing in it. It's a silent bell. What does that mean?
It is kind of interesting that she sort of has artifacts from outer space around her neck.
I know.
And maybe doesn't even realize it.
Right.
It's a little interesting.
I know.
Something to unpack in season 2, maybe.
Exactly.
Yes. Mokey is not the only Fraggle that you perform on this series. You also perform the Storyteller, who unfortunately does not appear in this episode, but we got to talk about her anyway. So how did you get that? How did you get assigned as the Storyteller?
Well, we had internal auditions once the main cast was cast. We had internal auditions for these secondary roles. So I read for Trash Heap, Icy Joe, and Storyteller. So they asked us to submit 2 or 3 versions of each character. And I submitted for Storyteller. And yeah, I mean, I wanted each one of them. It's like, ooh, which one do I want? Ooh, I kind of want to be Trash Heap because she's iconic. But ooh, Icy Joe is new and it's an opportunity to put your own stamp on a character. And then, ooh, Storyteller's got that great song. Gosh, ooh, I'd be happy with any one of them. And then Johnny told me shortly after we started production that I got Storyteller. I'm like, great, which version? And he said, version 2. I was like, really? My landlady character? Great. This is a character and a voice that I've pitched so many times and no one ever has taken it. So I was like, yay, Apple. They selected this particular voice. So I was like, okay. And so I had to go into rehearsal room one day where I wasn't on set. And I brought Ali Eisner with me to assist me because they were available. And then we were working with the producer's assistant, Caroline, and then Chris, a PA. And we just started, recording what I had in mind with the character, doing dialogue, and just so the producer could say, yay, nay, a little more of this, a little more of that. And we just kind of went crazy. And I really just wanted to make Ali laugh because Ali has the best laugh. Ali was usually Karen's and Red's designated assist, but Ali was with me this day. And we just went nuttier and nuttier. And I was like, just making her move all around, swallowing her words. And just, it's like, I'm not drunk. I lack gross motor skills. What she would do. And so her first time, and I asked Johnny, I said, okay, so I didn't hear anything back. Do I get the thumbs up for this version of Storyteller? He says, I didn't hear anything either, so I guess so. I'm like, sweet. So wow. I just went for it, man. I just kind of went a little bonkers. And so her first day on set was in actually episode 1 with JJ directing. She had no dialogue. It's when there's a crowd of Fraggles listening raptly to Uncle Traveling Matt. And, it's early in the shoot and everyone's behaving and everyone's kind of, being still and attentive. And I'm Storyteller down in the front. And I just turned to everyone and go, guys, quiet. JJ was directing, and JJ was like, who is that? Oh, it's Storyteller. That's Donna. Oh, okay. So she would just say anything, do anything, and never walked in a straight line. And I just had a blast. And she called every director JJ. Yeah, okay, JJ. Whatever you say, JJ.
I love that there's a character who can literally just do anything, though. Like that, there's so much value in that, and our main characters have a lot of flexibility, but there's really only like 2 or 3 Fraggles who can literally just get away with anything, and your version of the Storyteller is one of those, which is fantastic. It's so much fun.
Thank you. I did have a blast. She's an older lady with a comfy clothes and a statement necklace with nothing to lose.
That's right.
It's my kind of gal.
And I love her collection of glasses. I love the way that her eyes work, where with the glasses with the eyelid that lift up if she needs to, show surprise or whatever it is. That's got to be so much fun for you.
I worked that. Yeah, I realized if I could flip my head up really quickly and they would stay.
Great.
Hopefully. I had a little too much fun with us.
That's great. I also have to call out the like the Soul Train line dance in a previous episode where all the Fraggles are dancing, and she's doing this like hip thrusting thing that I can't figure out. I'm not a puppeteer, so I don't know what you're doing down there to make her move that way. My arm doesn't do that, so it was hysterical.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, you go for it.
Well,
yeah.
I had the body, and Kira had the hands. And so, I'm doing the head and the body in opposite direction. And then what I had wanted to do was have her backing up directly into camera.
Great.
But, sort of doing this backup thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't working. And so Kira suggested, how about a sideways booty slap? I was like, okay. I just, again, waiting for someone to say, yeah, that's too much. That's just too much. You got to back off. This is
you rode that line perfectly. It was right there.
I figured, older kids will just think she's funny and, pushing it a little bit. And so,
exactly.
Yeah. That was a sweaty day. That was a fun day.
I bet it was. Yeah. Well, as we mentioned a couple of times, you also played Aughra on Age of Resistance, which was fantastic. You did an amazing job. Your version of Aughra was so spot on. I honestly thought that, of course, I don't remember her name, the original performer of the character,
Billy Whitelaw. Thank
you. Billy Whitelaw was who, we know now she is passed, but I thought she was still doing the character because the voice was just perfect.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a couple of the main similarities or differences between working on the Age of Resistance set versus the Back to the Rock set, aside, of course, from the country of origin?
Well, I didn't work on the set of Dark Crystal.
Oh, I didn't know that. I assumed that you were there.
Yes. No, Kevin Clash performed her and did scratch dialogue, but I did scratch track for Kevin to perform with and to shoot with on the day. And then he would record new dialogue. And then that would bounce back to me in ADR, months later. So I visited the set, which was amazing. I mean, it's just wonderful when a puppet show has a big budget. That was the two main similarities. And that I was gifted with recreating an iconic character. But so wasn't on set, but it looked awesome. I certainly wanted to be. It wasn't
I'm sure
trying.
Hey, I wanted to be there too. I get it.
Rita. Yeah. I asked Rita if she could just put me in her suitcase and throw in one more American. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry about that. But you got to play in Calgary with the rest of the Fraggle Rock crew. And you got to be in this episode, number 11, which was Deep Dive, as we've said. Let's talk about it. How about that?
Let's do it.
So this episode begins in Red and Mokey's cave, where they're roommates. I love always when we get to see Fraggles wearing pajamas, and specifically with these two characters with their hair down, like
yes, and that's Mokey's original robe, by the way. That's from the original series.
Oh, that's cool. I love that Henson just saved everything. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to do, and Red can't decide. But first, before she does anything, she has to take a dip in the Fraggle Pond, which is how she starts every single day. Wouldn't you, if you lived in Fraggle Rock? We get this cool scene of her at the top of the diving rock, and she's full body. She's stretching. She looks real. I love stuff like that. It's so cool. Just I assume you've chroma keyed out Karen Prell for that shot. And before she can jump, Pogie is there. He blows his whistle and tells her that she can't dive because the Fraggle Pond is filled with this pink goo. And more importantly, Pogi has a whistle, and he's going to use it throughout this episode.
Right.
So good for Pogi.
Pogi. Don't we love Pogi?
We love Pogi.
We love Pogi.
Was the Fraggle Pond really filled with that pink goo? Because I know that you guys usually use real water on the sets, but was there really?
I seem to recall that it in fact was.
Oh,
I seem to recall that. Yes, because I remember that shooting the goo being sucked up by the vine is in reverse. It's goo coming out of the vine is shot in reverse. So yeah, I do believe there was goo in that there pond. I seem to recall.
That seems really hard to clean.
They kept us far away from it. They kept the puppets as far away from it as possible because we could be a little accident prone.
Right.
But yes, I believe there was goo in that pond.
That's pretty cool. More practical effects.
Wish I could say it smelled like peppermint, because doesn't it look like it should smell?
Yeah, either that
peppermint.
or I was thinking either some kind of berry or like Pepto-Bismol, like kind of medicinal a little bit. What did it smell like?
I don't recall. I don't think it had a smell. That was a bit of a miracle on art department's part.
Better that than like rotting milk. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
That could have been a bad day at work. We're checking in with the Merggles. Since the pink goo is contaminated to the water, the Merggles have all been relegated to Boober's laundry buckets, and they all have the hiccups. We already knew all this information, but Boober wanted to say it again while wearing his doctor clothes, which I think is adorable. And also a great way to get some plot exposition into a new episode. Gobo suggests that we can scare the Merggles to have them get rid of their hiccups. So Boober and Wembley have to brainstorm. And this is actually something that we've seen in the original Fraggle Rock series, that Boober is an expert in scares. There was an episode called Scared Silly where he scares Wembley over and over and again to test his Volubius. So that's a little bit of a hidden continuity. Wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Tartaglia made that call.
Probably. He is a Fraggle database, our Johnny.
He is. Something that's been referenced many times on this podcast, of the fact that Johnny knows everything and remembers everything from the series, and insists on including everything from the old series, which as a fan, I'm so grateful for. I'm not saying that to make fun. I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
Red wants to help with the situation, but she can't focus until she's had her first dive of the day, but she can't dive until they fix the water situation, and she is stuck in this endless loop. But Mokey is there to tell her that the universe is telling Red that she needs to relax. Red is not exactly the relaxing type, of course. Is that something that you have in common with Mokey? That
oh gosh, yes. If I am your friend, I'm the friend who is full of unsolicited advice. Most of it's great, but it's good advice. No, but yeah, I'm definitely, I think I am a little bit of, okay, this means something. This means something.
Sure.
This has significance. What does it mean? Well, yeah, I'm definitely both of those aspects of Mokey for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The universe is telling you that, XYZ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, this is something that like my father does, and I sometimes catch myself doing, of like giving someone advice and then going, well, why didn't you take my advice? I told you the answer. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you just go? Yeah. I told you to chill. Why aren't you chilling?
Yeah. My sister is the same way. She and I will say, I told him, I know. If people would just listen to me, their lives would be so much easier.
I have all the answers.
And it's so arrogant. I mean, it admittedly is. So I just love, not to jump ahead, but I love Mokey's arc in this episode. And it's this episode is the biggest lesson for me personally, that I don't want to get ahead. Go, you do your thing.
Okay, we'll get there. All right. Well, stay tuned, folks.
Okay.
So this is the part where we get to see Traveling Matt's postcard. He's got some great advice for Red. He's frolicking in a flower bed. He discovers the puffy piffles, which are clouds in the sky, which made me think at first, I was like, oh, it makes sense. The Fraggles don't know what clouds are because they live in a cave. Mm-hmm. Then it made me think, well, they've been in the Gorg's garden. Do the Gorgs not have caves? Oh, excuse me, clouds over their heads there? Or
no, maybe the Fraggles are a little more concerned with not getting thumped by a Gorg, and they haven't, they
I'll
got
accept
their
that.
eyes where they need to have their eyes, right?
Yeah, I'll accept that as an answer. That makes sense. Yeah, you gotta keep your head forward and not get thwomped. That makes sense.
Phew. Glad I passed that one. Phew.
Matt wants to relax with those puffy piffles, so he's gonna go up there and be among them as a skydiver, and we get a classic traveling Matt freak out as he skydives, and I love whenever there's a moment where traveling Matt is explaining in the narration like it was so relaxing and I wasn't scared at all, and of course we're seeing on screen like his eyes are popping out of his head, he's screaming his head off, and it's hysterical.
So funny. I have to say that those were all done on location, so Uncle Traveling Matt days were separate from set, but seeing it all put together with Uncle Traveling Matt, so flippin' funny, with Frank Meshkalite and Kevin Clash, tag teaming as Uncle Traveling Matt. Just so funny. Those are some of my favorite scenes. I just think they're hilarious.
They are hysterical. So you never got to work on any of the Traveling Matt segments for this season?
No, sadly. But when Uncle Traveling Matt was on the Rock, it was like, yay, Uncle Traveling Matt's back.
I know. I love that guy. We interrupt this podcast for a special postcard from our Uncle Traveling John Tartaglia and a Fraggle Fast Fact.
Today's Fraggle Fast Fact is, choreographing puppets is hard. Yes, choreographing puppets is hard, especially because for the most part you only see from the waist up on a puppet. But what you have to remember is for everything the puppet's doing on camera, there's a human being, a very large human being attached to that puppet right below frame. So we have to fit sometimes 25 puppets into frame, and we have to figure out where those 25 human performers can stand so that they can all see a monitor, so that everyone can move safely, so that we're not tripping over each other, so that the camera doesn't get in the way. So it's a lot of logistics, and oftentimes what we would do is on the director's rehearsal days, every time we had a new director, we would have a rehearsal day to figure out difficult sequences, including musical numbers. We would figure out the choreography on that day. So when the actual day came to shoot the song, we kind of already knew what we were going to do. One of my favorite musical moments to stage on Fraggle Rock was Craggle Lagoon, which is Red's big kind of fantasy vacation number in episode 8. And we had so much fun doing conga lines and circles around Red, and Red was doing this awesome dance with her maracas. It was a lot of fun. It took a lot of work, and there's a lot of bodies getting in the way and twisting and contorting to make it look good, but that's the fun of puppetry, and we hope you enjoyed it. All right, back to the podcast.
So Red decides if she can't dive, she needs a new extreme activity. She is going to zip line through the Great Hall. But Mokey is telling her, no. Universe is telling you need to slow down. And Red says, I am Red. I move, I jump, sometimes I lunge, but I do not sit still, which is accurate. Mm-hmm. I don't need to tell you that. That's very Red. She can't stand still at all, which sounds exhausting for Karen also. That Karen always has to be on the move.
Yes, Karen is a very active person. She, she's a very sporty person. She always has gear, the proper gear with her. She's Johnny always said that Karen is the person you want with you in the zombie apocalypse because she has everything. Last March we took a gondola up to some snowy peak in Calgary. A bunch of us went. It was my birthday weekend, so a bunch of us went, and Karen had her. We get off the gondola and Karen reaches into her bag and shoo-pa, shoo-pa. She has like collapsible poles like to hike with the snow. I was like,
amazing.
You just whoop those out. She's like totally prepared, totally active. But yeah, she canoes, she bikes, she hikes. She's a goer.
Wow. So she would zip line over the Great Hall if she could.
Karen probably would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably would.
I believe it. Meanwhile, we're going to check in with the Doozers. They have a support group circle because they haven't been able to build lately. Mm-hmm. I love this shot of them sitting around the circle, and they're all kind of in mid panic or mid depressive episode. I love that some of them are wearing knitted clothing. I think one of them is actually knitting, and that seems to be a callback to the original series episode, The Great Radish Famine, when they are not able to build because they don't have enough radishes, and the Doozers shift from construction to knitting. So it is part of their blood that they love to knit.
Got to stay busy.
Exactly. Idle tiny Doozer hands. Dr. Level is the leader of this group. He has a tiny little clipboard, and at one point we see the clipboard, like he kind of shows it to the camera. I paused it to see what he's been writing, and he had been doodling. There's a little picture of a dog. There's a little island. There's a picture of a drill. He is probably not very good at his job. He's not taking accurate notes at all.
No. But he did have some good advice. Sometimes you got to walk away and come back with fresh screws.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah. And we're going to see that, especially with Cotterpin, who we check in with, because she is still trying to figure out what's going on with this pink goo and how to clean it. And even though the other Doozers are telling her to walk away, she's like, I can't. I'm in the middle of this project. I got to focus on it. And hey, you are Cotterpin.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I agree.
Was that like a gimme that because you were playing Kathy Mullen's characters that you would also be Cotterpin, or was that an audition process as well?
Nope. No, it was just it was a bundle. I was given the bundle of Mokey and Cotterpin both. And what a great character Cotterpin is. And I can just so relate. She's hard on herself. She pushes herself. She's pretty, relentless. She uses that word relentless, but gosh, I just love how busy she is, and she just takes things on, and she's pretty selfless.
Yeah.
So her and Architect together, my gosh, Johnny and I would just Cotterpin, did I ever tell you about the time I was Lonnie Anderson's pool boy?
Yes, just yesterday, sir.
So we said we were going to come up with like a spinning wheel of like some celebrity and some weird occupation and just spin it so Johnny could.
Can I tell you about the time I was Eric Estrada's pedicurist? That's right, sir. Not the manicurist, just the pedicurist. Yes.
Well, he can't reach his fingers. He's so tiny.
I know. Right. Anyway. Yes, loads of fun.
I love it. That's got to be such a blast. And the great thing about Cotterpin, in my opinion, is she's one of the few characters from the original series who had like a really full story arc, because she starts as like this newbie, but she has ideas, and then she graduates to becoming like a assistant architect, and she's the one who ends up having these relationships with the Fraggles and kind of bringing them into her world. And she's not the same Doozer that she was, between the first episode, middle of the series, and the end of the series. So I love seeing some of those characteristics carry through to the new series, which, as we know, is like this soft reboot where she's the same Doozer as she was before, but also not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that she's just, the same but different, and I just love that she, she kind of helps to save the day in subsequent episodes, but she just kind of just doesn't stop, and she just wants to keep growing, learning, and it's not about ego for her, and she's very much a Doozer, and it's it's all about work, but her spirit, her and her cool little vehicle that she drives. I mean, come on, all the vehicle's getting an upgrade.
Yeah.
It was just the Doozer Dome days were, extremely bit claustrophobic days, but gosh, it was fun playing with all those Doozers, and it looked so good. That Doozer Dome.
It really did.
When we first walked in and saw that, we were all like, I want this play set.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Someone get Henson Licensing on the phone. We need a Doozer playset. Were there any interesting challenges to performing a Doozer as opposed to like a hand puppet like a Fraggle?
Yeah, very much so. We had two different versions of each one. We had the remote control version and then the rod puppet version. I think we ended up using the remote controls mostly, but there was a big learning curve with the Doozers on this show. Because they're all mechanical and wires and things they were prone to little snafus here and there, but we had an amazing team who were always at the ready, flying in, and just going to the Doozer part of the creature shop in Calgary and seeing all the little tiny props, the tiny drills, the little tiny hands that would, change out, and tiny little accessories that they would wear. I mean, such detail. I mean, and I remember loving the Doozers. They're so little. Look, they look. You can see the whole body. Oh, wow. Yeah. I love the Doozers. And yeah, like I said, once we got over that learning curve, it was great. Such fun.
With so many radio control parts, something must have gone wrong at some point. Are there any interesting stories about something with the Doozers just completely not working or falling apart or disaster striking?
Well, Cotterpin did catch fire one time.
What?
There was a day where, Kira was holding Cotterpin, the rod version, and she was, oh, this is getting warm. And then, oh. And then we saw a little bit of smoke and little flames. Jason was right there, just woof. And so it was, just a couple of seconds, but these things can happen, but people are right there taking care of it. So it was a dramatic event, but it literally lasted 2 seconds, but we talked about it all day long, of course.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, of course. I mean, also that's terrifying for a number of reasons.
Yes. And not the actual puppet, the battery part that was on the handle. So
yeah, right. Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I've heard
replacing the battery and then and then back where we were. So.
I mean, we've heard similar stories. Like we obviously know the story about the fire that broke out on the Age of Resistance set, and I was present. I won't go into too much detail on this, but I was present for a minor similar fire where like the spark and the smoke, but not the real fire on a Sesame Street thing. That
really?
It was like they had a new thing, a new gizmo, and they were testing it out, and it was one of those, like, 2 seconds later an Elmo would have caught fire and then you lose an Elmo. Thankfully that didn't happen. Everyone's okay, but puppetry is dangerous business.
Tell you what, it can happen, man.
It's true. So later on in the episode, we can put a bow on the Doozer storyline here. Cotterpin does agree that she needs to take a break, come back with fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and she drops one of those vines into the water, and you can see that it sucks up the pink goo. That'll be something that carries through to the next episode. But I love that you told us that they shot that in reverse, because I genuinely didn't know. I didn't think about it. I just assumed it was actually sucking up the pink goo.
The magic of cinema.
Yeah, really. That's Hollywood. A mysterious sky bucket is dropping into the Fraggle Pond, and it is from Junior Gorg, who is getting some water for Junior, his plant. Junior is worried because he was not expecting this pink goo, but it seems that Mom and Pa Gorg love it because they're using it as mud masks. Ma's chin fur has never been softer. I will take her word for it. Later on in the episode, Junior realizes the pink goo is actually hurting Junior, and he makes the realization that what's good for the Gorgs may not be good for the plants, and he douses Junior with some water to clean him up. Were you at all involved with the Gorg segments of the show?
Very little. I got to be Junior in one of the later episodes. I forget which one. It wasn't this one, where Junior's pot is sitting on the bank of next to where the Fraggles come out. So there was one time where I was free. I was the person, and ran underneath, figured out this does this. Okay, great. And I've done Spider-Man. I know how tentacle thingies work. You initiate the movement from the base. I got this. So I popped that in for a couple. I think was it it may have been during the cutaways for the song, the big One Heart song.
Oh, in the final episode.
I may be mistaken, but okay. It was definitely one where Junior revives. But yeah, I actually had a couple days off when it was Gorg time because I just was not needed, or there was always a blue cube set up either on stage 3 where the Gorg's Garden was, or on stage 1, or both. So anytime there was a ton of extra footage that would be second unit or even third unit, I think on some days, where anything full body with a Fraggle, or some Doozer stuff too, was shot in a blue cube. So we were always rotating between sets. So usually on Gorg stuff, I was generally in the blue cube doing something.
Right. Well, there's a great shot, I think it's in the first episode, where Junior Gorg picks up Mokey, and Mokey does Be the Noodle and slides out of his hand. And we were told that was done live, where they shot Junior's hand and they shot obviously you in that blue cube as Mokey.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
That was so fun to shoot in layers. I don't know that I've ever done that. It was just super exciting to do that. So I would sort of shape her to be in his hand. And my favorite part was, of course, with Kira's help, was sliding out and sliding over and making a weird noise. I think, be the noodle. I think you can barely hear it. Be the noodle. Just sort of making noodles.
That's what noodles sound like, of course.
Yeah. When you sort of forget that you have bones for a second and just make a sound. So that sound is in there in the final version. But yeah, shooting with layers like that, it was really. Oh, there was the one in the first episode where you're shooting you see the Fraggles from behind and they're running and they do the big leap. They fall down into the trash, and that's where they first meet Trash Heap in this iteration. That was we're sitting in place on little rolly stools under the frame, making these Fraggles run, but we're watching our puppets on this moving shot. And I don't remember if they were doing it live on the Gorg set simultaneously with us, or if it was pre-recorded, but it was like a video game. So like on the side, Mokey's got a little rock, and I think I went around it for a second and then did a quick glance back, and then we all just jump. That was like, this is like puppeteering in a video game. This is so cool.
Yeah.
That was like a new, love that.
A new muscle to kind of exercise there, because usually you can at least, like, I'm sure you're always looking at your monitors anyway, but like if you need to, you can glance up and see, okay, there's a rock there, I can get around that thing. But
so
virtually.
Helpful also, because it just orients you and lets you know where you are, what you're looking at, where Junior is, all of that stuff. So it was and I think one of the first times when you first see them coming into the Gorg's Garden, and there's a blue ramp, and you see like Johnny, walking down. That was done on blues. And I think you only see full body Gobo, full body Red in that one, and the rest of us are just kind of peeking behind. But yeah, they built a blue ramp and everything, and they layered in the actual Fraggle hole, so we could see what was going on. Oh, it's just so fascinating and super helpful as a performer.
And the kind of thing that like they could easily add in post if they wanted to, and they made it much easier for you. You can have such a more natural performance when you can see live exactly what's going to be seen on screen.
Yeah,
it's you can tell, you could see that professionalism, as a viewer.
Oh, good.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Next up, we check in with Doc and Sprocket. Sprocket has fleas, and he's wearing a cone that makes him look like a cute lamp. Doc is trying to give him his flea pills, but he just won't have it. Keeps spitting it out. She tries with putting it in with a cookie and a block of cheese while tickling him. With some of these, we get a really cool shot as if the camera is inside Sprocket's mouth as we see she's
isn't that
feeding
fun?
him. Yeah. Do you know how they did that?
Oh, I wasn't there that day, but I would guess that they built a special Sprocket rig for that, and framed up on Lily through that. And I imagine it's larger than the actual Sprocket.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was those fun POV shots. I just love them. I thought that added so much. But yeah, that's my guess, is that they built a big interior of Sprocket's mouth.
Yeah.
Sprocket's mouth cam.
Right. Yeah. Did you ever get to play on the Doc workshop set with those folks?
Yeah, just a little. I assisted Frank Meshkalite on Uncle Traveling Matt when he comes back in the last episode or two, when he comes back and I think that was my first day on set back in January. Because, we shot all the Doc and Sprocket stuff at the very beginning of the shoot. So all of that was done in January. And then we moved to the Fraggle, to the Great Hall. So, and we shot in episode 12 where Cotterpin comes in, climbs up the furry mountain, hairy
That's
mountain.
right, yeah.
And then climbs up on the desk. We ended up reshooting it at the end because, like I said, there was this learning curve with Doozers. And so, we reshot all that, which I was glad about because I think that was also my first day. Like, oh, you want to nail your first day, and it was a little challenging. So
I feel like that's been a theme
yeah.
here, that everyone's first day is something extremely challenging. Everyone is just like thrown in feet first to something that like, it's not just like getting your puppet on screen and saying a few lines. It's no, we're going to have your Doozer climbing on a dog up the thing. And
here you go. Good luck.
Right.
Yeah. And you just do your best. And sometimes you get to reshoot, sometimes you don't, but, you just gotta rally and leave the ego behind and get in there and do the thing.
Exactly.
Get the shot.
That's good advice for all of us. Just get in there and do the thing.
Do the thing. Get in there. Check that ego at the door. Exactly.
Back in Fraggle Rock, Boober and Wembley have come up with something pretty scary to help the Merggles break out of their hiccups. The scary thing is basically Wembley covering his eyes, putting his arms up and going, rah! It doesn't work. It was terrifying, but it did not work. But Mokey has a great response, this like deadpan, like, you guys were gone quite a while.
That's what you came up with?
Yeah. So great. I love it when she's got a little sass.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's really fun.
Later on in the episode, Gobo, Boober, and Wembley are going to try a couple more times to scare the Merggles. They cover themselves in blankets and throw them off and shout. These are all very like cheap, low-key ways to scare them. I noticed, like, there's no real like interesting puppetry effects or computer animated assisted whatever new props and characters to build. It's like, no, we're just gonna like peekaboo and scare them and move on.
Real low tech. Those guys had so much fun shooting those scenes, I have to say. They're all so silly. Frank, Jordan, and Johnny. Gosh, they had a lot of fun. The scene where they have the graphic where it's like, first we're gonna do this that's later though, isn't it?
That's a little bit later. Yeah,
the last.
Yeah,
okay,
you can talk about it. Go ahead.
Later.
No, go ahead. Okay. Go for it. Yeah,
we shot that like first thing in the morning, so I was kind of still waking up. It's like all three of those guys had like 17 shots of espresso before, because they're all like, but as performers, and all that energy is in the show, which is just so exciting. And I remember thinking, okay, they're like flying high with all this adrenaline, and Mokey's not. Mokey's just kind of like, oh my gosh, okay. So they walked past, and I just had her staring with these giant wide eyes, and I just kept her there for much longer than they ended up using in the take. But it was really hilarious. Yeah, the boys had a blast with this episode for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, Mokey does look real great. Opposite them, like, you're right, they had this high energy and they're being very silly and funny, but Mokey being so far back reserved and so deadpan with like no. Like that's not a thing. Like it makes it doubly hysterical. I think it's great. I think Mokey's really funny in those scenes.
Oh, thanks.
Red is ziplining through the Great Hall, and she smacks right into a giant Doozer construction and falls. Her tail is all zigzaggy bent. We later find out that it's sprained. I like that she says, please don't tell me that was my Belubius, and Pogi runs in, blows his whistle. That was your Belubius. We are spared the get smart joke of, I asked you not to tell me that, but we got it. We knew it.
Yeah.
This is where we get our first song of the episode. Red sings Once Upon a Time I Knew My Name, which came from the original series, the episode Gobo's Discovery. That one was sung by Gobo. He was questioning whether or not he wants to continue being an explorer. So I guess both of these episodes are about Fraggles having these identity crises. Red is backed up by two interesting-looking puppets, which I recently learned are called the Sneals. They're like these little
I
colorful.
did not even know that.
Yeah, like these colorful rat creatures. They only made a couple of like blink and you'll miss it appearances on Fraggle Rock. Like I think the only time I've ever seen them is like they're literally just passing through the screen. But they were mostly used.
I was
on
one of
the
those
mobiles.
Sneals.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I did one of those Sneals in that number. So it's myself and Andy Hayward were snealing in there, and I think there's a giant clam back there too that's also singing back up. I think that was Dan Garza. Yeah, it was so wonderful to participate in that beautiful song. And I know Karen had told us that she got choked up quite a few times recording that song, thinking of Jerry and their special friendship and how wonderful he was. And yeah, he was part of the stories that, she would tell us. And, I think their bond was very special and that was very evident. So yeah, gorgeous song. I loved everything about that. The background vocals I thought were, the arrangement was beautiful. The lighting I thought was great. And, it's really for this iteration of the song, that moment of, if I'm not this, who am I, is so powerful. And I think we can all relate to that. I think we've all had moments like that in our lives. So yeah, beautiful song. Beautiful moment.
Yeah. And Karen really does sing the heck out of it. It's really a terrific performance. And yeah, as you say, the question of, if I'm not this, who am I? That's pretty deep for a kid's show.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're I think Fraggle Rock has always gone there, in the original show and this one too, but in a more modern and updated way. Yeah.
Yeah. As the song ends, Mokey enters to console Red. Red asks her, "How do you help when you feel helpless?" Which, man, that breaks my heart. And then she blows her nose on Mokey's shirt, which doesn't exactly break my heart, but it's a little sad. And again, you get a great deadpan response from Mokey. Just like, okay, this is happening. All right. Let it all out.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Mokey takes her to the Mood Ring, which is a cool looking cave with these reflective cracks in the walls. That's got to be real, right? Like that's a real cave that they built.
It absolutely is. We joked around that it looked like the inside of Large Marvin's stomach. We'll see if that makes the final version, but I kept saying that, and finally Jürgen, our wrangler extraordinaire, was like, "Please stop saying that, please. Now I can't unsee that. I can't unsee."
It's continuity now.
Needs a little more fiber.
It's awful. I love all these.
Now you can't unsee it, right? You're thinking of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%. But all these cave scenes are just gorgeous. The set design on the show, I can't get over it. Really beautiful. And I love the way this cave looks in particular with those, I don't know how else to say it, those like opaque cracks in the walls that they're kind of shiny. They're kind of reflective. Really gives it a different look than the other caves that we've seen on the show.
Yeah. They have there are holes with lights behind them and then different color gels over them. And the lights were a little warm when they're in the islands, because, there's modular pieces that move around that puppeteers can get into or behind or something like that. So yeah, those lights were a little toasty. That was a toasty set. But it was great. And a bit tricky because they're so scratchy. A lot of the rocks of Fraggle Rock that the Fraggles could get stuck to them because it's like Velcro almost. So we would have to be really careful when we were actually on the rocks and it wasn't clothing between, so that you didn't want to pill the fabric of the Fraggles. So yeah, it was when Mokey is sitting with her hands on the rock, it was like to get the hand off of the rock. So it was a bit of a trick that we all learned to navigate throughout. Yeah. Yeah.
Like sitting on the leather couch in summer, Yes. Right. Yeah. Mokey is going to teach Red how to meditate, which does not seem like it would be up Red's alley. Mokey shows her how it's done, and there's a cool lighting change in the cave, which Red takes note of. These colorful blobs start to float around Mokey. It makes it look like she has control over the Infinity Stones or something. They are thought bulbs and things like worry, stress, happiness, and fear. And Mokey can acknowledge them and let them pass, and that's what gives her this feeling of peacefulness.
Yes, I thought what a great description of what meditation is for kids. I thought that was tremendous because, if you've ever meditated, Joe, you'll know that thoughts will fly by like clouds. And you supposed to just like, okay, that's a thought. It's just, I'm a release it, let it go, and get back to being centered in the here and now and trying to keep your mind as free as possible. But yeah, that a thought comes in and you're supposed to let it go. But to have a bit of visual there, I thought was just really cool and just a great way to show kids what meditation actually is.
Absolutely.
For good or not good. But
right,
obviously
yeah.
It wasn't good for Red.
Well, and I am very much like Red in this situation where like I can't you told me to close my eyes. I got a million thoughts that are flying through my head. There's no identifying them and letting them pass. It's just like I can't shut it off. So I need something like Red where I'm gonna do this other thing that will help me focus. Like it's an actual active activity, and that's how I can kind of get myself back on track. So I very much related to Red in these scenes. And it's true because she is already bored. Like she just sitting there and
that was so fun. The scene was so fun to do. I thought on paper it was just hilarious. And I to have Mokey get a little more agitated as it goes, because you're trying to know you can really benefit. Just relax at the end. I thought it was really
Okay, let's try again. Just better this time.
Right.
I thought
don't mess it up.
Was
That's all.
So funny and just such perfect encapsulation of this friendship, this relationship between these two.
Right. And to really show the juxtaposition between these two very different characters who love each other very much, but yes, but their energy levels are not exactly on the same place.
Yeah. So fun.
And it's funny because at first I thought there's no way Red's going to get into this because she's got no eyelids. Her eyes are on top of her head and she always looks shocked. But she grows eyelids for a minute so she could try meditating. And that did make me think, and something I wanted to ask you is Mokey is one of the few characters who has retractable eyelids. How do they work as a puppeteer? And is it something that you particularly enjoy using, or is it more of an added challenge to playing the character?
I love an iMech. I had my first iMech on another Henson show, Pajanimals. It was very different. It was a cable one, so it didn't have a battery or any servos or moving parts. Well, it was moving parts, but it wasn't electronic. This version was a battery pack, so the servos, made a bit of noise. But boy, I just love it because, you can get so much expression, and I feel like it just adds to conveying the emotion, to conveying humor, all of that stuff. And Johnny said, she's got a really cool iMech. And I was like, okay, you're going to give me a toy. I'm going to use it. So
yeah.
I'm just going to push until someone tells me to back off. And no one ever did. So yeah, I'll work an iMech because it's just another great tool to have as a puppeteer. And when you can, things like in the moment where she is consoling Red, Mokey is consoling Red, and then Red, blows her nose in the dress, and I can pop the eyes open to go, okay, yeah, no problem, and bend the mouth a little bit. So yeah, you let it out. Yeah, okay. So just all of those things, just another toy to use to do what you need to do. I just love it. But yeah, not every Fraggle is so lucky. So we would, of course, stop tape, pop some eyelids on Red or whomever, and
right.
and then resume.
It's especially cool that Mokey's iMech doesn't only go up for surprise, but they can close all the way. Is that right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. So the neutral is if I let go of the mech, it's about 75-80%. That's her neutral of open, and so that I can push it and it'll go up to opening 100%, and then pull it the opposite way. It's a little wheel on a bike handle,
Yeah.
and then go the opposite way, and for sad, and anywhere in between for sadness or contemplation or anything. So yeah, love it.
And it's
wish all puppets had them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I assume it's attached to your arm rod, her arm rod.
It is, yes, to her left arm rod, and it can detach. So there would be times where I would have just the iMech in my hand, and Kira having both of Mokey's hands. I think one of the promos that you see, I think the BTS was on social media, and you see that I think it's the theme song, Dance Cute Away, Clap Clap. So,
Yep.
So Kira has both, and I just have the iMech. So yeah, we would shake things up and vary things that way.
It's great. I love it. So Red is not relaxing at all. This is not working, unsurprisingly. So she gives up. She leaves the cave. We'll get back to them in a second, but Gobo, Wembley, and Boober have one more plan to scare the Merggles. As we said, it was this high energy scene where they've got this whole illustrated plan that involves a blue pie, a smoke bomb, a giant Wembley claiming that he ate Boober. It's foolproof. It's got to work. But of course the foggies that they're using for smoke bombs, they're actually greaseberries. Wembley drops them, Gobo slips on them, and he collides right into Boober. Boober takes a pie in the face. Comedy classic. And it makes the Merggles laugh, which actually cures them of their hiccups. This is basically Monsters, Inc. rules. Mokey takes note of this, and she says, well, you tried to force your plan. It didn't work, and that's what I've been doing to Red, which is an interesting observation for her. You can't push too hard.
That's right. Again, a great lesson for grown-ups like me, as well as for kids. And then going into that great song. And I loved that she gets this light bulb moment and learns this lesson, and then the song happens right after that. So it's really a continuation of that thought. I thought that was very interesting. And that's a great song too. But it's just you need to let other people figure their own way out. If they ask for help, great. Be sure to, offer that help. But we'll all get there in our own time. So great song. I love that song.
Yeah. So the song is called No Two Paths, and I think I'd have to revisit all the songs from the show, but this has got some of maybe my favorite choreography of any song that we've seen so far. Mainly because, first of all, the choreography is very simple. It's just Fraggles moving, swaying. Like there's nothing really technically different about it. But there's like a what's the word? Like a symmetry to it, where a character will pop up behind another one, and then someone will pop up on the other side, and then there's 5 Fraggles on either side that are all swaying in different ways and passing by each other, and there's a point where Mokey and Gobo drop down and then pop up in the back behind the Merggles. I think it's just it's very visually, it's just a really cool way to showcase that song, rather than just like having the characters sit there and sing it and maybe sway a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. That was a sweaty day. Also, it was later in the shoot, so it was a little warmer. But Johnny said, "I'm going to really push the choreography on this number." I'm like, "Bring it!" I love puppet choreography, so I'm like, "The harder, the better. Just bring it on." And the puppets popping up in the front and back. That's a good old Texas switch. So I think it was Andy Hayward and Amy Garcia. I think were also Gobo and Mokey in that scene. So yeah,
that's cool.
Fun stuff. That was a fun day.
How many Mokeys are there? How many Mokey puppets did you have on set?
Well, there's the water version of all the puppets, so I think there are 3 total of each of the Fraggle 5.
So 2 classic puppets, 1 water puppet.
Right. I think that can also be technically a stunt puppet. So
right.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not the official person to ask, but from what I gather, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Still, it's good to know. It's always interesting. The song ends and Wembley hiccups, and everyone kind of gives him a look, and he says, "Don't worry, it was just a oneer." That was a nice little moment.
Yeah.
Mokey apologizes to Red for trying to help her, I guess, for trying to teach her how to meditate. She realizes that she just can't push Red into meditation. It has to be her choice, that she wants this kind of help. And, Red explains, she's an action Fraggle. This is how she clears her head. And, she likes to dive head first, yell whoopee, hit the water, and then just let everything disappear. And Mokey realizes, that actually does sound really peaceful. She didn't see it before. And we get this great moment where Red closes her eyes and she is pretending that she's swimming. You can see her arms moving like she's doing the brushstroke. And they kind of do a possible dream sharing that we've seen the Fraggles do before, where they can, enter each other's dreams, where Mokey and Red are swimming underwater with the Merggles. And it is very calm and peaceful. It's exactly what Red described. And it's not something where suddenly Red is basically doing a very quiet, peaceful meditation. It's still very active. But you can also see how this could be her version of a meditation, of a hard focus for her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is. And I love that the audience is seeing Red's version of meditation because they've already seen Mokey's version. But this is what meditation is for Red. It centers her. It makes her calm and peaceful. And then, Mokey comes into her world in Red's point of view, and that's why when you come back and you see them in their room, Red is swimming, but Mokey isn't, because in Mokey's version, which we don't see, they are just, possibly being still together. But yeah, I love that. And that's just going back to the no two paths. This is Red's way of meditating and achieving that goal, if you will, of being calm and peaceful. And Mokey's version is a different path. So yeah, that was beautiful. It's always tricky. I remember when we were shooting the underwater stuff, it's always tricky. It's well, can Mokey turn around even more to see Red? It's you can, but you're going to see a blue bicep blocking the body. So that's when you see Mokey's body, that's literally as far as I could turn without blocking her. But yeah, just one of the tricks about blue screen, nothing blue can cross a puppet. So all the blue has to be behind. So, but yeah, it was a fun day with fans making it look like water.
Cool.
Yeah, but I thought it turned out beautifully. I was really, really pleased with how it turned out.
When you filmed that scene, was it done kind of in the same way as we were talking about with the Gorgs, where you could see live the backgrounds and the water effects, or was it just we're just shooting this on blue screen and someone's going to do the rest of it in post?
Yeah, that one was. We did not have the background, and that was a less complicated shot, so I don't think we necessarily needed it for what we had to do. So yeah, most of the time we did not have that. It was really just for those super complicated ones
that makes sense.
Where we needed to know where things were. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of this Fraggle Rock episode. Do you have any other memories from this one that you want to share, or even something from another episode of Back to the Rock that we didn't get to?
Oh gosh. Oh,
I know it's a big question.
Not real. I mean, I can just say that this was the I've been so lucky in my career, but this is the show that's just my absolute favorite, where I think reading the scripts and hearing those songs from Harvey, Alex and Matt, I think the show is in such good hands. Johnny and Hallie just being dynamos and, making it happen. And just the tone on set, the crew we had, the cast we had, where everything was just great. And, not 100% perfect. We're human and we have our foibles and good days and bad days, but man, we're just kind of annoyingly crazy about each other. So there was a whole lot of love under the frame. So I hope that carries through, but we're all just so pleased with how it all turned out, and loved the process, loved the product, loved the response, and grateful to you guys too for liking it and promoting it. And,
well, you made it easy. You made a product that's very, very likable.
Well, it's a big few when the reviews are good and response is good. So we're all super happy. Yeah.
Well, we're super happy that the show has really been as phenomenal as it is, and as true to the original as it is, which was obviously very important to the diehard fans like us. And we're really grateful for you, Donna, for being here, for being a part of this show, for bringing so much life into Mokey and Cotterpin and the rest of the cast. You're just doing a phenomenal job, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed for more episodes and more Fraggle stuff coming along. But yes, but also thank you for being here on the podcast. It was just a treat to chat with you today.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Fraggle Talk, but stay tuned as Tough Pig's own Beth Cook talks more about the themes of this episode in our Dive Deeper segment coming up right now.
Welcome to Dig Deeper. This is Beth Cook, and I am joined once again by executive producer and president of television at the Jim Henson Company, Hallie Stanford.
Hello.
We're talking about Deep Dive.
Well, we're going to do a deep dive into Deep Dive. Love this episode because really, one of the biggest tools, and I think that we can all see it out there, is meditation, and for calming ourselves, for connecting with ourselves. And what happens also when we have to sit still and we don't want to sit still. I think that's hard. So actually, I think that one's so much harder. And that's why this story is about Red having to sit still. And so I just love that and Mokey has a lesson in this too, but really what we're trying to teach here to kids and parents is different people have different ways of relaxing and of finding their reset button. And so one way may not work for one person, and another person, it may work a different way. So I know that's true, particularly for me when it comes to meditation. I actually love meditating. I'm a very Mokey in that sense. But then I have plenty of friends that they find great meditation. They cannot sit still. The thoughts are buzzing. They don't like it. But they feel it when they're playing sports, when they're playing basketball. They're in a flow.
Yes.
And the stress is going away when they do these things. So yes, this is a story about Red, hurting herself and healing, but really at the heart of it, it's about how do we reset? How do we reset in this very, very anxious time that we live? We all have like skin to our knee or, have to slow down because we're sick. But I also think we all need to recharge more than ever. It's a very anxious world. There's a lot of toxic stress globally, in the workplace, at home. And so we all have to hit those reset buttons, and we may need to do it in a different way. Again, I love to hike. That really relaxes me. I think that my son thinks that hiking is a punishment. He's like, you're punishing me right now. Like, this is a punishment. How does he relax? Handball and video games. That's it. He needs to go to his boy cave and just reset and do that, and then come on out and feel fresh. So we all have a different way of doing it. And that's really what this episode's about.
Mm-hmm. And I love that it's so relatable that both Red and Cotterpin are coming at this episode from a place of, I want to help. There's so many problems and I just need to power through it.
Right.
And it turns out at the end of the day that if you give yourself permission to rest, that can lead to new perspectives, which can lead to new ideas, and you end up being more effective than if you had just kept trying to power through it.
Yeah, I think that conversation for her to take that break, I think that came out of Jim Henson himself taking like walks when he needed to think and problem solve. I think we were like, yeah, everybody needs a different like break to come back and get that light bulb. And I'm pretty sure that that's where that particular one came from. Like, let's just like change what we're doing. Let's change it up and come back. And I think that was something that he did. So I'll have to confirm that with the facts, but I'm pretty sure I'm like accessing my memory of when we were brainstorming different approaches to the same topic. And I think that was I think that was a Lisa Henson share.
Oh, I love that. And Wrench Doozer gets this great line. Sometimes you got to put down your tools and come back later with fresh screws.
I love that you quote this show. It's amazing. Why don't I have a memory for lines? Why don't I have a memory for lines? That is
it's all written down. This is in my notes.
Oh my God, I love it. But it's so funny. It's so good. I'm telling you, these writers are everything. They are everything. They're so great.
Just wanted to say that I love how the lesson in this episode goes so many layers deep. Like Red learns it from Mokey. Mokey learns it from Boober and Gobo and Wembley. They learn it by accident, and Cotterpin learned it from Wrench. And it's just all connected in that great Fraggle Rock way.
Oh no, I love it. I love the boys in that episode. They're very, very funny in that episode. Very silly. You know, some of the episodes had to be heavier than others, right?
Yep.
Like this one was light. This one was light. We had a lot of fun with it. And you do have to have that balance when you're mapping out a show. You have your heavier episodes, like Boober discovering his Volubius glows, and then you got to have your deep dives.
And I love that we get to see visually, both for Mokey and for Red, what relaxing looks like for them. We get these wonderful thought bulbs for Mokey. And, oh, here comes a thought, and I acknowledge it and accept the message that it's bringing me, and then it goes on its way. And Red just can't do that.
That's right. It's that monkey mind, right? Like there's some kids and some people, they're just like, I can't, I don't know what to do with that. And actually the real solution is just let it go. Like just, it's here, you can see it, let it have that chatter and then push it on. But it's harder for her. And it takes
Mokey telling her just relax has the opposite effect.
It has the opposite effect. I agree. I hate it when people say that to me. Who doesn't hate it when somebody says, just come on and relax?
You need to calm down.
You need to calm down. Yeah, exactly. That doesn't work.
Yep.
Fraggle Talk, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast, is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Produced, written, and hosted by Joe Hennis. Fraggle Fast Fact segment presented by special guest John Tartaglia. Dig Deeper segment hosted by Beth Cook with special guest Hallie Stanford. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Haltine Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company, all rights reserved. Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company, Apple TV Plus, and the entire Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, please find us at Tough Pigs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time down at Fraggle Talk.